Tonight, a shadow of uncertainty stretches across the globe. From the battle-scarred fields of Eastern Europe to the tense waters of the Pacific, a question hangs heavy in the air, whispered in quiet conversations and debated in the highest corridors of power. Are we inching closer to a third world war? The world feels more volatile, more unpredictable than it has in decades. Every headline, every diplomatic breakdown, every military drill seems to amplify a growing sense of global anxiety. We see conflicts simmering and alliances shifting, creating a complex web of tension that feels dangerously fragile. This isn't just abstract geopolitical theory. It's a palpable concern felt by millions who watch the news with a growing sense of unease. This feeling of impending crisis is not without precedent. History offers us chilling parallels, faint but unmistakable echoes of the periods that preceded the great wars of the 20th century. Before World War I, a complex network of alliances, rising nationalism, and regional disputes created a tinderbox, and the assassination of an archduke was the spark that ignited a global inferno. Similarly, the lead-up to World War II was marked by unchecked aggression, the failure of international institutions, and the appeasement of expansionist powers. Today we see similar patterns emerging: fierce nationalism, strained diplomatic ties, and regional wars that threaten to pull in larger, more powerful nations. The world holds its breath, hoping history is not destined to repeat itself. The structure of today's conflicts mirrors the past in troubling ways. A regional war, like the one raging in Ukraine, has become a proxy battleground for global powers, drawing in sophisticated weaponry and immense financial support from opposing blocs. Tensions in the Middle East, particularly between Israel and Iran, risk entangling allies in a wider, devastating regional conflict. Meanwhile, the standoff over Taiwan involves a direct challenge to the established global order by a rising superpower. Each of these situations on its own is a serious crisis, but together they represent a convergence of threats, a multi-front strain on global stability that has historians and security analysts alike sounding the alarm. Understanding these parallels is not about predicting a specific outcome, but about recognizing the gravity of the present moment. It is a call to examine the lessons of the past to navigate the perils of the future. The world today is far more interconnected than it was in 1914 or 1939. Our economies are intertwined and our arsenals are capable of unimaginable destruction. This interdependence could act as a deterrent, a powerful reason for restraint. Yet, it also means that a conflict in one corner of the globe can have immediate and catastrophic repercussions for everyone, everywhere. The stakes have never been higher, and the path forward has never seemed more uncertain. First, we turn our attention to the Middle East, a region perpetually balanced on a knife's edge, where the long-standing shadow war between Israel and Iran has broken into the open. The risk of direct state-on-state conflict has escalated dramatically. Recent months have seen unprecedented drone and missile exchanges, alongside intensified clashes involving proxy forces in Syria, Lebanon, and beyond. Every attack and counterattack carries the potential for miscalculation, for a single strike to cross a red line that triggers an unstoppable chain reaction. The involvement of global powers, particularly the United States and its unwavering commitment to Israeli security, means that a regional war could rapidly expand, threatening vital shipping lanes and global energy supplies in the process. Meanwhile, in Eastern Europe, the brutal war in Ukraine grinds on with no resolution in sight. This is more than a territorial dispute. It has become the epicenter of a renewed struggle between Russia and the West. NATO's support for Ukraine has deepened, with allies providing increasingly advanced weapons systems, intelligence, and training. Russia, in turn, has issued stark warnings, framing the conflict as an existential battle against Western expansion. The greatest fear is a direct clash between Russian and NATO forces. According to Article 5 of the NATO Treaty, an attack on one member is an attack on all. A stray missile, a deliberate escalation, or an incursion into a NATO country could invoke this pact, potentially triggering the very world war that leaders are so desperate to avoid. Moving to the Asia-Pacific, the tension surrounding Taiwan remains one of the most dangerous flashpoints on the planet. China, under its increasingly assertive leadership, considers Taiwan a breakaway province to be reunified with the mainland by force if necessary. In response, the United States has solidified its commitment to Taiwan's defense, bolstering the island's military capabilities and increasing its own naval presence in the region. China's military drills, which often simulate a full-scale invasion, are met with condemnation and countermaneuvers from the United States and its key allies, Japan and South Korea. A misstep in these crowded waters, a collision of ships or aircraft, could be the spark that ignites a catastrophic war between two nuclear-armed superpowers. Finally, we cannot ignore the persistent threat posed by North Korea. While other conflicts dominate the headlines, Pyongyang continues its relentless pursuit of advanced nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles, conducting tests in open defiance of international sanctions. Kim Jong-un's unpredictable regime thrives on provocation, using its military advancements to extract concessions and sow instability. Any renewed aggression toward South Korea or Japan would demand a swift response from the United States, which maintains a significant military presence in the region. The risk of a sudden violent eruption on the Korean peninsula remains a constant and deeply unsettling variable in the global security equation, a wild card in an already precarious world. At the center of this complex global chessboard sits the United States, juggling its role as a global superpower across multiple theaters. The United States is deeply committed to supporting Ukraine against Russian aggression, providing the bulk of military and financial aid that has kept the country's defense alive. Simultaneously, it is reinforcing its security guarantees in the Asia-Pacific to deter Chinese ambitions toward Taiwan, while also navigating the volatile dynamics of the Middle East to prevent a wider war. This immense strategic stretch tests the limits of American military and diplomatic resources. Every decision made in Washington has ripple effects, influencing the calculations of both allies and adversaries, and shaping the trajectory of these interconnected crises. Opposing this, Russia has adopted an increasingly aggressive and defiant posture on the world stage. Its full-scale invasion of Ukraine was a direct challenge to the post-Cold War security order in Europe. Thwarted in its initial aims, Moscow has doubled down, mobilizing its economy for a protracted war and threatening any nation that stands in its way. To counter its international isolation, Russia has deepened its strategic partnerships with other United States rivals, notably China and Iran. This emerging bloc shares a common goal: to diminish American influence and forge a new multipolar world order. This alignment creates a formidable counterweight to Western alliances and complicates any effort to resolve conflicts through unified international pressure. China, meanwhile, is playing a long game, pursuing its ambitions with a blend of economic might and military modernization. Its primary focus is on the Indo-Pacific, where it seeks to establish regional dominance and fulfill its goal of reunifying with Taiwan. China's expanding naval presence in the South China Sea and its growing economic leverage through initiatives like the Belt and Road are systematically challenging the United States-led global system. While publicly calling for peace, Beijing provides crucial economic support to Russia, undermining Western sanctions. Its leaders are carefully watching the global response to the war in Ukraine, drawing lessons for their own potential future conflicts and calibrating their actions accordingly. These power dynamics are reinforced by a hardening of global alliances. NATO has found a renewed sense of purpose, expanding to include new members and bolstering its eastern flank against Russian threats. In the Pacific, the United States has strengthened its alliances with Japan, South Korea, and Australia, creating a more cohesive network to counter China. On the other side, the no-limits partnership between Russia and China continues to solidify, supported by deepening military and economic ties with Iran and North Korea. The world is increasingly fracturing into two opposing camps, reminiscent of the Cold War, where a conflict involving any member could risk dragging the entire bloc into the fray. This era of escalating global tension is not just being observed by analysts and policymakers, it is being felt deeply by the general public. Across the United States and Europe, a profound sense of anxiety has taken hold. Recent surveys reveal a startling trend. A growing majority of people now believe that a major global conflict involving their own country is a realistic possibility within the next decade. This is a dramatic shift from the relative optimism of the recent past. The constant drumbeat of news about far-off wars, coupled with the rhetoric of world leaders, has brought the abstract threat of a world war into the homes and minds of ordinary citizens, fueling fears for their safety and their children's future. The digital age has, really amplified these anxieties in unprecedented ways. social media platforms and 24-hour news cycles have become echo chambers for alarm, where viral clips of military drills, expert warnings, and political saber-rattling circulate endlessly. The phrase World War III frequently trends online, driven by a mixture of genuine concern, sensationalism, and disinformation. This constant exposure creates a feedback loop, where public fear influences political discourse, and political discourse, in turn, heightens public fear. Navigating this information landscape has become a challenge in itself, as people struggle to distinguish between credible analysis and fear-mongering designed to attract clicks and views. This climate of fear has tangible consequences. It influences public opinion on defense spending, foreign policy, and the role their nation should play in global affairs. In some countries, it has revived debates about military conscription and civil defense preparedness, topics that had been dormant for generations. The psychological toll is also significant, contributing to a broader sense of instability and pessimism about the future. For younger generations who have grown up in a relatively peaceful and globalized world, the prospect of a great power conflict is a particularly jarring and frightening reality to confront, shattering assumptions about progress and perpetual peace. However, this heightened awareness is not entirely negative. It has also sparked a greater public demand for information and a deeper engagement with international affairs. People are asking tough questions and demanding accountability from their leaders. There is a growing understanding that isolationism is not a viable option in an interconnected world, and that diplomacy and de-escalation are not signs of weakness, but essential tools for survival. This public pressure can serve as a crucial check on leaders who might be tempted by reckless actions, reminding them that the ultimate cost of war is paid not by them, but by the citizens they represent. In the final analysis, the world stands at a perilous crossroads. The risk of a global conflict is undeniably higher today than at any point since the Cold War. The combination of multiple active flashpoints, the hardening of opposing alliances, and the aggressive postures of major powers has created a volatile mix. The potential for a regional conflict to spiral out of control through miscalculation, accident, or deliberate escalation is terrifyingly real. A single errant missile or a misinterpreted command could set off a chain of events with catastrophic and irreversible consequences. To ignore these dangers would be naive and irresponsible. However, it is crucial to recognize that war is not inevitable. The very leaders who control the world's most powerful militaries are also the most acutely aware of the horrors that a modern world war would unleash. The specter of nuclear annihilation, which successfully kept the peace between the United States and the Soviet Union for decades, still serves as the ultimate deterrent. Behind the scenes, away from the heated rhetoric and public posturing, channels of communication remain open. Diplomats are working tirelessly to manage tensions, de-escalate crises, and maintain the guardrails that prevent direct confrontation between nuclear-armed states. These efforts rarely make headlines, but they are our best hope for steering away from the abyss. The path forward requires a delicate balance of strength and restraint. Deterrence must be credible, with nations demonstrating the resolve to defend their interests and their allies. Yet, this must be paired with a relentless pursuit of diplomacy and dialogue. International cooperation, even among adversaries, is essential to address shared threats like nuclear proliferation and global economic instability. Reinvesting in international institutions and arms control treaties can help rebuild the trust that has been so badly eroded. The world needs more off-ramps and fewer red lines, more opportunities for peaceful resolution and fewer triggers for conflict. Ultimately, the future is not yet written. The question of whether we are heading for World War III will be answered by the choices we make today, as leaders, as nations, and as global citizens. We invite you to continue this vital conversation. What do you think? Are the current global tensions a prelude to a wider war, or will diplomacy and common sense prevail? Share your thoughts and perspectives with us. It is only by staying informed, engaging in thoughtful debate, and demanding wise leadership that we can hope to navigate these dangerous times. Thank you for joining us.